Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Resident Rule Breakers. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Camille.
And today's podcast is going to be about episode 208 called Heart in a Box. And It was written by Marqui Jackson and Joshua Troke. And as you remember, Marqui has been a guest on the podcast before. Last summer, last July, he was on the podcast. Y'all can go look that one up if you want to. It was a pretty cool interview.
That was fun.
It was fun talking to him. The episode was directed by James Whitmore Jr. and the original air date was November 19th, 2018. So it's aired quite some time ago.
Almost 3 years ago.
Yes. Yep. And before we get into discussion, because it's been 3 weeks since we've recorded and 2 weeks since we released the last podcast, due to my personal schedule conflicts, August has been crazy busy for me. And for both of us, we do have some news that we need to talk about first. We had 4 cast members who had birthdays in the last couple of weeks. Radek Lord, who has been on the podcast as a guest and a co-host, his birthday was August 5th. So happy, way belated birthday, Radek. And then, of course, Bruce's birthday was the 12th, and he turned the big 6'5". So happy belated birthday, Bruce. And then Malcolm turned 51 on August 18th.
Yeah.
Last year was pretty awesome that we were able to interview him and release it for his birthday. I thought that was like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
So I looked back at it and went, oh, yeah, we did do that. So if you haven't actually seen Malcolm's interview from last August, it's definitely a must-see. Same thing with Bruce when we did it last September. And then, of course, Anuja Joshi, her birthday was August 19th. And so happy belated birthday, Anuja. I think she turned 28. She's one of the youngest members in the cast.
She's so young.
Very young. I hope all these birthdays are amazing. Birthdays are a day to be celebrated. So yeah, and then there's a lot of news has come out about season 5 stuff. No episode titles, nothing like that. We'll probably find out within the next 2 weeks about an episode title. I did the math and it lines up to be in somewhere right before Labor Day weekend, which in America, Labor Day weekend is the first weekend of September. But we do have season 5 information, minimal, but we do have some. They released a poster for the key art for season 5, and it's just matte. And a lot of people were asking why, because it says like healing starts within and everything like that. And it is very ominous because it's just him in the OR. And usually, Conrad's not in the OR.
Yeah.
A lot of people it made people really curious and cautious because the promo released right behind it for 5/1. And it's just Conrad. And it's
there's a lot of speculation about Emily. I don't want to speculate.
I don't want to speculate too much about the whereabouts of Emily. And they could be pulling a lot of different storylines with her. Very plausible that Nick had postpartum depression and she's seeking treatment. I have no idea. I'm not gonna guess. But, they're not going to spoil. The promo was to get you to watch the show. They're not going to spoil it in a promo. But we did get a glimpse of Gigi, the baby, or one of the twins that plays Gigi. So
she's so cute.
She is. She's cute. But we're not going to speculate about Emily. And I just think that it would be ridiculous that she would leave the show.
Throwing out some crazy theories.
Yeah.
Pregnant, that she's no longer on the show, and all these other things. And I'm sitting there going, look, we don't know anything. And to just speculate, it's not good for anybody. But,
Yeah. So we're just they have the writers started writing this back in like end of May, early June. They have a plan. They obviously started writing knowing there was a plan in place for whatever was happening. So please trust them because they've never let us down yet.
Yeah.
I will put my faith in the writers still. So.
Yep.
But yeah, that new promo, if you haven't seen it, most people have it, but if you haven't, it is on our Instagram. It is also in the Facebook group, pinned in the announcements if you want to find it.
Also,
And
the resident Facebook page, the main show's Facebook page.
yes, it's also on Spoiler TV's YouTube channel.
Yep. It's shared everywhere, like literally.
Yes. Yeah, it's everywhere.
Well, the resident season 5 and it will show up.
Yep, pretty much. There was also like this article from TV Line about season 5, like what we could somewhat expect, and was an interview with Peter Elkhoff, who's one of the showrunners this year. And he's pretty much saying that there's a quote, and I want to read it because I thought it was ominous. And it pretty much says, when our audience tunes in for the first episode of season 5, by the time it's over, they will be shocked at certain changes that are taking place at the hospital.
Okay, that sounds a little ominous. Especially the absence of Emily. Like, what are we talking about? I hate that they're doing that. I hate the whole ominous cryptic messages or whatever. Oh God, I know I am dreading the season premiere now.
Yeah, they've never done this before. We've usually known way more information. Even before we got promos and press releases and stuff, like we knew stuff. This year, not the case. They also say that the big villain's going to be some form of big pharma and Medicare fraud. So
we knew that.
Yeah, we knew that. We knew that like months ago when we recorded the podcast for what we want to see in season 5. We kind of mentioned it, so we kind of knew.
Their plan was for season 4, except COVID happened. So
yeah. So they just took it and put it into season 5. So if you want to read that article, it's in the Facebook group. It's also, I think it's linked in one of our former Instagram stories. It's saved on our profile. So, but it's on TV Line's website. On September 22nd, our French fans will get the 3rd season on Disney+. So we're going to get into our episode discussion here. And my first topic on my outline here is Minotaur, mainly because it's a pretty big episode for them, even though they're obviously not a couple, but as their relationship or their friendship, it's pretty big.
Yeah, this is the episode that Mina opens up to AJ about her mom and her sisters, and that still is hard. Like I watched that, and it's so heartbreaking to me how she describes losing her sisters in a house fire kind of thing. I mean, like that's just crazy.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, and she's like, I just don't want to talk about it anymore. And it's one of the many reasons she admits to why she's so robotic with her emotions and how she's shut down. It's because of the deaths of her sister. And so, yeah. But yeah, they're in the ambulance and she opens up to him about it. And she doesn't understand how this guy could die from quote unquote a broken heart. And how you could love someone that much, but you can.
She probably could understand it because I mean she loved her sister.
Yeah. So. She just emotionally shut down,
Yeah.
But we'll get more into that broken heart syndrome in a minute. But yeah,
let's talk about Patrick and this is Micah is on this
Micah
episode.
is in this episode, and it triggers AJ. Well, they had sex, and Mina's like something like, I just want to find out your heart's okay. So AJ listens to it, and he's like, everything's fine or whatever. But whatever AJ's feeling, he's he calls Micah lover boy, and yeah,
it's So yeah, I noticed this though, that Mina never really, I don't think Mina ever really, I think she did love Micah, but I also don't think she ever really escaped from being a doctor with Micah, if that makes sense.
No, I absolutely agree. She was, because he was her patient. And that's why you shouldn't cross the boundary of patient and doctor.
Yeah.
That boundary should have never been crossed.
Yeah.
Just saying.
She never turned off doc, like she never, it was is probably why, she was like checking his pulse and everything else. But it's like, ugh.
But at the end of the episode, Nick picks up on AJ's feelings for Mina. And she's like, are you ever going to tell her? And he's like, no. But see, looking back on this episode, the writers had no intentions of going as fast as they did with this relationship.
Yeah. Yep.
It truly makes me think that they had no intentions of going where they went as fast as they did. And the only reason they did it was because Shaunette was leaving.
Yep.
I truly believe that, looking back at this episode in particular. So
I do. I'm like, I was so, I was happy. I was happy that they fast forwarded Mina and AJ's like relationship or whatever, but not at the expense of Shaunette leaving.
yeah. I truly feel that it was pushed because of that.
Oh, I mean, it's the several of the show writers have said exactly that. So it's not just a feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But seeing this episode's like their original intent was to make this much slower, much more drawn out.
Yeah.
But and then of course we have the broken heart syndrome plotline,
which is a real thing, you guys. This is not like one of those, like fictional.
No, it's a real condition.
Thing. Yeah. People actually can die from like extreme grief or whatever. This is a real thing. I forget what it's called.
AJ says it in the show, but I looked it up and I was like, I can't pronounce it, so there's no way I'm even trying. But he does pronounce it in the show.
Yeah. Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. Takotsubo. Cardiomyopathy. But yeah, it's a real thing, you guys. Like, it's not one of those, stranger than fiction, this can't be real thing. But yeah, people literally could die from grief because their heart is like breaking and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
if you truly like this guy, he lost his wife, so yeah. He very committed to her. I mean, to the point of walking 3 miles to the hospital, 3 miles back to his house every day to see her, to be with her while she was in process of treatment and passing away. That's devotion. That's true devotion.
Yeah.
And Nick's comment to him about grief being a hard thing to process, but she's absolutely right. I mean, it's difficult to process by any means. It doesn't matter if it's a husband or a wife or a parent or a sibling. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Or any other loved one. But yeah, so Nick's comments, and she was talking about her mom at this point, because that was the only true grief she'd had, was her mom dying.
Yeah.
Because Jesse hasn't passed away at this point.
No.
But yeah, I loved her comment. She's like, no, yes, it's worth this, because the guy asked if is it worth me getting this heart transplant or whatever. She's like, yes, it's worth you still living on. She would want you to live. So they harvest the heart and they have it in this box to keep it beating, and they still had to do surgery on the heart because it had an issue before they could put it in him. But yeah, the heart.
Yeah, they had a heart in a box episode on Grey's Anatomy. It's one of my favorite episodes for that show when they had Christina sort of asking the heart in a box questions, because like at the time her assignment from Teddy Altman was like, you know, your graduation gift from the heart from cardiac surgery program or whatever this was, you give me a list of all your dream surgeries and I will go find you people who need that surgery or whatever. And so she like literally would be listing things to heart in a box, like, is it worthy of a heart in a box type surgery kind of thing? And if it wasn't, she'd cross it out. And if it was, she'd keep it on the list or whatever. And I just love that episode because it's because it, like, you know, heart in a box thing is so rare. Like it doesn't happen all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a regular kind of heart transplant surgery.
Yeah. It's not a regular thing that happens. But there's your episode title, where it came from.
Yeah.
So
literal heart of it's a literal one.
Yeah.
Not figurative.
This episode also features a villain that we had in season 1, the return of Lane Hunter.
Oh, I hate her.
I realized because I saw the original promo for this episode while I was doing research, and I was like, they promoted Melena's return to the show in the promo. That's all they showed in that promo.
Yeah.
But yeah, the return of Lane Hunter, and she's so manipulative. She blackmails Belle with the sex tape to get her out of jail. It's so horrible.
I do not like that woman. And I know, like, I did. You should watch Dr. Death on Peacock.
I've seen the first episode because I love Joshua Jackson.
No, the real documentary.
But they did. It's based on that. But yeah,
they did a real documentary with this guy's like real patients and real like supervisors and everything else and stuff. And the whole time I was watching it, I was thinking, good Lord, this guy makes Dr. Lane Hunter look like an angel, sort of.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, Medicare fraud and, you know, purposely killing patients and just all this other stuff.
At least Lane was a doctor, you know, like knew sort of, you know, could pass sort of as a doctor. It was actually an award-winning one and everything else, but this dude, like from the beginning, was like not even good, and yet he kept bragging that he was good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, but you know, yeah, that was what Belle was up to in this. There was a couple things he was up to in this episode, but that was one of them. Was he was being blackmailed by Lane to get out of jail with a sex tape. So, go figure. But also, and this is the storyline that really kind of made me a little angry about this episode, because Conrad and Nick they really don't have much interaction. They kind of, as Conrad says, passes in the night because they're working opposite shifts from each other. But they do have little moments where they show that they care. Like they talk about Henry and they give each other coffee and stuff like that. Yeah. So they still have a way of showing you that Conrad and Nick are together, which, by the way, really doesn't need to happen, but whatever. Everyone knows, but whatever. But the Henry storyline, Nick's concerned, obviously, that Conrad's too attached emotionally. You know, doctors really shouldn't emotionally attach themselves to their patients like that.
But it can't happen, especially if it's like a patient you know. You just saw the boy's brother die, like what?
Yeah.
You know, he's been taking care of both boys since
they were born, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much. Just they were dying.
But yeah, Henry has a grand mal seizure, which is the full-blown
while playing softball.
Yeah, playing ball. and he just really doesn't stop until they pretty much give him another drug. And this time it was phenobarbital is pretty common seizure drug.
Yeah.
What I take's a cousin of that. So, but because he's on 2 other drugs on top of this, it gets triggered by Quo Vadis. And by the way, I think that's a HIPAA violation, what Quo Vadis pulled. I really don't think that they should have a right to know that information by any means.
Do does that really happen where like they get dinged if a patient has like fits the criteria, they're getting like because it sounds like they get an alert on their computer like ding ding ding, so like when you get text messages kind of thing.
No, but like what drug a kid is on for their seizures, even if there's 3 of them, should not be something that a device company is alerted to. I'm sorry. No, that should be something that happens because they go, oh, these seizures are not going to be controlled, and that's brought back up to, but they should never involve, the company should never do what they did in this episode. And that's just, in my opinion, it's a violation. So maybe they do it, maybe they don't. I have no idea. But the VNS gets inserted in this episode. Yeah. And I guess in Henry's case, it was an extreme thing because 3 drugs wasn't stopping his seizures, which is usually kind of the cutoff point. You usually don't want to do more than that. But it's radical. Like, this VNS thing is brutally radical. And I've said this before because I have this disorder. But the fact is, there's a line in the episode, and it kind of brutally pissed me off, and that's calling the seizure medicines toxic. Some of them are. Some of them, depending on which drug it is, can be toxic to certain organs, like your liver. But if you're on certain good drugs, depends on which drug it is, they're not as toxic as they're alluding to. So if you don't have a clue how dealing with epilepsy works, just know that not all the drugs are as toxic as they're saying. I kind of feel like they misled people on that, and it really pissed me off as someone who actually deals with this every day and is on medicine. So, but the fact is, mine's under control on 1 drug, and I drive. It can happen, but I just that word toxic kind of really pissed me off. So, just saying they needed to say something better, especially with how many people in their lifetime have epilepsy. So just saying, from a person who actually has it. But Conrad, in this case, I was siding with him. He was against this device. So
yeah, I mean, even Julian was a little skeptical about it because she was like, he's a kid. This isn't exactly approved for children yet.
Yeah.
And the whole, she had that whole metallic hip just the episode beforehand, and she learned about how these devices were grandfathered in kind of thing because of or whatever. So that's why they get approved so quickly, and why something such as metal could be approved, be approved. And that's what sounds like even this one here, where they're like, oh, it's approved because even for kids, even though not really, because of what is that called, ATK1 or whatever they
they reference it in the episode, but it's essentially a fast track FDA approval, which they're trying to say in the episode, like all these devices that have these FDA approval stamp, not all of them work the way they should because of this fast track grandfathering thing, which is another thing that really bugs me about, and I hate to bring up this scenario, but like the vaccine, for instance, it's not approved. Well, guess what? All these other devices are, and they kill people.
What's so hilarious is that I was just thinking this is bad timing to talk about how FDA approved this, and even though it's killing people, when because anti-vaxxers are probably gonna go, well, I mean, look at that, FDA approved it, and people are dying. So of course it's gonna be worse because the vaccine isn't approved. You know what I mean?
I mean, I was just trying to point it out. Sorry.
Yeah. But no, I was just thinking like that is just such bad timing too.
Yeah,
because
it is. It is.
would totally like twist it to say, well, if something that kills you isn't even approved, imagine what not approved could do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I'm just sitting here going, yeah, trying to just say that the stamp alone is making a thing that saying it's safe. No, not necessarily. So just this episode was trying there, this whole entire plot line was trying to point that out.
Yep.
So, and of course, obviously you just brought up Julian, and she learns the truth about the company she works for, and it's not good.
Nope.
Not good at all. She learns because like when she talks to Gordon Page, she alludes to the fact that he worked for this other company that did, imported from China and then repackaged and said that it was made in the United States. Well, they're not supposed to do that. That's illegal. Well, Cavadas is doing the exact same thing. So Julian's like, no, I don't like this, but it ends up being, we'll just say that the 2-9 is an episode that makes people question what happened to her. But yeah, this episode leads into that. Then, of course, there's Devin, who has the worst day imaginable for a doctor.
Yes. Do you know how pissed off I was with the racist patient? Oh my God.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, they did add the racism thing in there.
And here, this is the thing, you guys. This is happening a lot, especially now with like Asian doctors and stuff. They're like, because COVID people. Oh God, like we are allowed to. I've heard so many, like let me put it. Any of you. Any and every single person out there who will say some racist like that. These people are here saving your life. It doesn't matter their skin color, doesn't matter what they look like or whatever. Every single one of you who would even think like that. It like seriously. When you're dying, doesn't matter if the person who's saving you is black, white, Asian, Indian, whatever. It doesn't matter. You just want someone to try to save you. So any and every single person out there who would even think along those lines when they're not dying. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know what you mean. See, the doctors take a Hippocratic oath to do no harm, no matter what, no matter the circumstances they're faced with. And this show is a good proponent of that scenario, but doctors are frustrated, especially with these anti-COVID patients. They have lost empathy, but the fact is they still have to hold up their oath. And so did Devin. Despite the fact that he had the racism, he was thrown up on, and then he got punched by a meth head. So he had a black eye. And then he's still dealing with mental issues with the fact that he's still remembering the kiss, the fact that Priya wants him to move to San Francisco. And he's like, I can't give up my residency, blah, blah, blah. So Devin's got a lot on his plate, and he just really ended up having a really bad day.
Yeah, but I mean, like, he should face racism whether he's having a bad day or a good day. Nobody should.
Nobody, no. I don't know what the point of putting that in there was, because he could have gone through the day with just being puked on by the patient, and that still would have been bad. So that's my opinion on it. But
well, probably to show that racism exists.
Yeah.
A whole.
But yeah, and then of course at the end of the episode, Devin tells Priya he can't move with her to San Francisco, and it's pretty much the last nail in the coffin of that relationship.
Yeah. Is this the last episode for the supposed
wedding? The wedding's in 2-9. The episode had a lot of stuff in it for an episode that was good, about 40 minutes long. A lot of material. They really put a lot in it.
Yep.
So upcoming, we were going to talk about 209, which is with Devin's wedding. The episode's called The Dance. September 6th is when it releases, and that is Labor Day weekend in America. We're going to take, unless we get an interview or some type of communication from Fox. We have reached out to them about promotion for season 5. So unless we get some type of something from them in the next week, the week between us this Labor Day and the premiere will be an off week unless we get an interview of some kind. Then we'll have a podcast if we have that. If not, though, the next podcast will be September 20th, the day before the premiere, and we'll talk about pretty much everything that we know about season 5. Between the news that we have, the photos, the episode titles, which will be out by then, stuff like that. Because they'll definitely, because we're definitely be promoting stuff by that point.
Yep.
And so we'll definitely talk about everything we know about season 5 to prepare you for the premiere. September 27th, we'll be discussing 501. It's literally our critique and discussion of 501. And the episode starting September 20th, the podcast will be in a new season, rolling over to our 5th season of podcast to follow the 5th season of the show. Of course, if you love the podcast and you want to be able to support us, and you can go to our Patreon, and it's patreon.com/The Resident Podcast. Little as $1 a month, you can get podcasts released early on there. You also get news that we don't post anywhere else except Patreon. Get the graphics that I make early, like maybe a week early, earlier than we reveal it on our socials. So you get all this other information earlier than anyone else. Let's just put it like that. $1 a month. And you can cancel it if you don't. There's stuff on there. So if you go there and you see something like blocked or something, and it says, unlock this if you are a patron of the Resident Rule Breakers, you have to pay to view it, pretty much.
Yes.
So there's exclusive content on there now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Behind and stuff. It's gonna be fun.
Yep. Yeah. And we're gonna try to keep that up through the season. We're and do a lot better.
If you guys are Hallmark fans, go follow me on Hallmark Heartbeats podcast. That's the Facebook page title. The Instagram title is at Hallmark Heartbeats. And I also have a Buy Me a Coffee page called Buy Me a Coffee /HMark Heartbeats. And oh my God, I've been so busy over there. It's crazy. I just did 3 interviews this month, and then plus two more movie reviews. And then next month, I just confirmed 4 interviews for next month as well. And hopefully getting some more there. And busy for me. And it's going to be probably even busier since The Resident's coming back. So.
and speaking of Hallmark movie Resident, I think we mentioned it before, but Corbin Burnson's going to be in a Hallmark movie at the end of September, the same week as The Resident returns.
Love Takes Reigns or something. It comes out on September 25th.
Yeah.
That The Resident premieres, his Hallmark movie comes out too.
Yeah. And the plan is for us to do our discussion podcast, and then I'm going to be on Hallmark Heartbeats that week talking about that movie. So
yeah, that's the plan.
That's the plan.
And then I also have an interview set up tentatively with the producer / writer of the movie. So for that week. So that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Oh God, I just realized that's 5 interviews I set up for the month of September.
It's a lot going on.
When I tell you, I swear somebody asked me how do you do all this, and I'm like, I don't know either.
Yeah, and all the information that we just kind of listed, at least how to do her Buy Me a Coffee and stuff, it's in our show notes. So you just get the links in there.
Oh, and also for my podcast, we just hit 2,500 downloads in
Yay!
a and 400 Instagram followers.
How to contact us at the Resident Rule Breakers. We have an email, so it's the residentrulebreakers@gmail.com.
Yep.
Please don't spam our email with useless crap. I will delete it and not reply to you. I can promise you, because I get it in my phone, so I see it, and yeah, just don't. I won't reply. But if it's legit, like if I feel it's like legit, then yeah, I'll answer you. I can pretty much tell. So just a fair warning. Don't spam us. Just because the email is public doesn't mean we want your spam.
I know, right?
Yeah. So we have our Facebook page. It's the Resident Rule Breakers Podcast.
Yep.
And you can just see everything on there. The latest podcast will always be pinned to the top of the page. So, and you can listen to it right on the Facebook page. So,
yeah, that's what I do for my.
And then the Facebook group, the Resident Fox fans, has almost, and I don't know if it's officially broken this, but it's really close to the 12,000 fan mark.
I thought it's already had 12,000.
I looked at the stats and it was 11,999 something. It was really close.
So
yeah, I was just like, okay, but it's brutally close to breaking the 12,000 member mark, and that's the highest of the Resident Facebook fan group. Yay!
Well, we're the oldest Facebook group too, so
yes.
Before the show even aired.
Instagram at the Resident Podcast. It just that's probably the Instagram page and the Facebook group are the two things that you'll probably see most active. Camille's Instagram is at the Resident Fox fans, and she does post some stuff. And of course, I'm at KB Country 37, and I've just been really busy. And then of course our Twitter is at Resident Podcast. How to listen is we have Podbean, we have Apple Podcasts, we have Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and of course our YouTube channel. There's all that. In 2 weeks, on Labor Day weekend, we will be discussing 209, The Dance, Devin's Wedding, Marshall's Surgery, Julian, the whole 9 yards.
The never completed conversation that the two men should have had for 2 freaking seasons.
Yeah. So I hate that we're not going to get to do after the fall, which is 210 anytime soon, but it is what it is, Bye, guys, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye-bye.